just for fun and because I want to, I'm going to share with you my four of my favorite working with color tips. Now, they're my favorite today. Tomorrow I might have different favorites, but right now, these are the ones that I want to share with you. And I hope and I think you're going to find them relevant and interesting also. Okay, so this is all going to take place in Adobe Illustrator. And that doesn't mean this is going to be an Illustrator demonstration. Yeah, I'm going to use Illustrator, but what I'm really demonstrating here are color ideas. So you can take this stuff, you could probably translate it to other design, graphic, image-based software, and you can certainly apply it to real-world media like paints and paper. Okay, so I'll be working in Illustrator, and like I just said, it's not going to be an Illustrator demo, so I'm going to work kind of fast, and I'm not going to explain every pull-down menu and all the blend modes that I'm using. I'm just going to throw out a few different words here and there about Illustrator, and if you have questions or an interest in some of these things, there's always Google, and there's Illustrator's help menu of all places. Okay, so let's get started. Starting with number one. When I work with color, interestingly, I like to start by working with grays and just leave color out of the picture to begin with. And the reason I like to start with grays has to do with the whole idea of value structure, the dark and light structure of what I'm working on. And if I can get this thing looking good in darks and lights and medium shades of grays, then I can replace the grays with colors that have about the same values. And I'm going to know right from the get-go that the value structure of my color combo is going to be intact, and there's a really good chance that my colors are going to get off on the right foot. And I do cover this topic, this thing about grays and color and values, quite a bit more in both my lynda.com color course and my book, Color for Designers, just in case you're interested. In this case, when it comes to choosing colors for this piece that I'm working on, I'm going to get my colors from, and you probably saw this coming, I'm going to get my colors from this here book. And I'm going to enter the color schemes CMYK formulas into Illustrator's swatches panel. And when it comes time to insert these colors into my currently gray illustration, I can do something like click on a gray and then click on a color in the swatches panel, and presto. Another thing I can do, and this actually goes into number 2 in my favorite things about color that I want to tell you right here, has to do with Illustrator's select and replace feature. Okay, here's what I'm talking about. You can click on a gray like so, and then you can go up to the select menu and tell it to grab all the same grays. Then you just go over to the swatches panel, click on a color that has about the same value, and there you go. All those grays are now filled with the new color. Great feature. So I'll work this way until the entire piece has gone from, a grays only image to a full color illustration. So do check into Illustrator's select menu and all of its features. If you're not already familiar with it, it's really intuitive, it's really awesome, and it makes work like this go really smooth and really easy. All right, number 3 in the things that I want to share with you about, favorite color things. This one comes from the world of painting. Okay, it's this thing where you take what they call a light wash, meaning a light layer of transparent color. Like if you're using watercolors, maybe you take a real watery yellowish gold and you just paint it over the top of your entire painting. And then that way, all the colors that are below that wash, they all take on that like warm yellowish hue. It's a cool effect. It kind of harmonizes the look of all the colors in the painting because they all have that yellowish glow to them now. And it can be really subtle. And there is a digital equivalent of this, and I'm going to show you that right here. I've added a new layer to my Illustrator document, and now I'm going to fill the layer with this large rectangle of yellow. And I'm going to change the layer's blend mode to multiply, and I'll set its opacity to, let's say, 30%. All right, nice, there. So here's before, and here's after, and I'm going to go with that. And last, and this is number 4 of the things that I want to share with you about color. Whenever it's called for or feels appropriate, I really like adding like a hint of texture over the top and throughout an illustration or a layout or parts of an illustration or a layout. Texture is really cool. And this, I use the word broadly. It could be like the texture of concrete, real subtle, a wood texture, a paper, granular kind of texture. Wide open term. You add texture to a visual like this, and it just gives everything, again, kind of a look of connectedness. All of a sudden, all the different elements, all the different parts and pieces of a layout or an illustration, they have something in common. They have this like texture running through it. And the texture itself can add notes of theme, or, you know, a look of distress or a look of beauty or whatever the texture implies. And let me show you how I'm going to do that to this illustration. All right, I'm going to start by heading over to Lightroom, where I keep my photographs of texture. And right now I'm looking at my collection and I'm saying, I want this one. I want to go with this shot of paper. I have a good feeling about this texture. I'll bring it into Illustrator, paste it into a layer of its own. And now, like we just did with the color layer, I'm going to change this layer's blend mode to multiply. I'm going to fiddle with the layer's opacity until I'm happy. Okay, let's try 60%. Okay, I am now happy with this thing. I like the way it looks. Here's before the texturing. Here's after. I like how the texture gives this thing just a slightly less digital and a slightly more organic look. All right, there you go. That's a wrap. That's the end of video number 5. We only have one more video to go in this series, and that's next. And in that video, we're going to get a little bit geeky and talk about color theory. See you soon.